Just a reminder of how I grade things on this channel. I use a light spectrum of colors. So we got the cool colors, the green, the blue, and the purple. Those are the high grades, purple being the highest. And the warm colors, well, they're not so good, you know, they're kind of shit. So we got the yellow, the orange, and the red. And of course, red is... Man, do I hate seeing this show come to an end. This is my favorite show in a long time, you know, in league with practical jokers and whatnot. When this series comes to a complete stop and it hits episode 12 and it's all over, I will be doing a full series review. So just be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell notification button, you know, to keep me from going down the wrong road in life. So if episode 1 of season 5 is any indication of how this season is gonna go, we're off to a promising start. If you're not caught up, the city is complete chaos right now. It's been separated from the rest of the world by Jeremiah, you know, the Joker. The government is not helping at all. They don't think Gotham deserves the help. It's basically a no man's land, as they like to call it. Jim Gordon is still trying to reach out to the government. They're not helping. They're not sending food, no weapons. Penguin is in charge of City Hall. He's got all the weapons, the ammunition. And then, like, Barbara is running the Sirens Club, who basically, they're in charge of the food, her and Tabitha. So people are naturally going to want stuff from each other, and that's kind of where we see this season start. We see a lot of trading going on. Penguin's trying to trade bullets for food, and he's being very greedy. He's not feeding his people. They're dying because he's, you know, a greedy little bastard. The city's carved up into different territories. I think that's so cool. It's kind of reminds me of the game Arkham City, where like Scarecrow's got his own sector of the city. I saw on the map there's a little section for Zaz. Jeremiah's nowhere to be found currently, but you know, not for long. See Enigma, the Riddler's waking up every frickin' where. His hair's a bit longer, that's something I suppose. The thing with Enigma stuff though is they're trying to fit it in there so we can get ready for him in other episodes. But his stuff, though it's fun, it just does not fit. Like, it's just randomly, I'm in the episode in all these different spots, and I think it could have done way better with an episode just devoted to him, not sprinkling him into all these, in between all these other scenes. And Selina, well, she's still paralyzed. There's a brutal confrontation in this episode involving a Wayne Enterprises helicopter that's trying to secretly bring food into the city. Food, yeah. I think it's food. Yeah, food. Naturally, the gangs are going to want to take that for themselves. You got Penguin, Jim Gordon, some other rival douchebags that are trying to come in and take this stuff. It's just a great scene. Robin Lord Taylor just proves again why he's the best Penguin to grace our screens thus far. This far, thus far. Fuck it. This episode also includes a pretty significant death that kind of surprised me because it's only the first episode of the season. I'm like, if that's where you're starting, this is gonna be one heck of a ride. This episode also had a lot of cool camera work. They've done this in other episodes too, but I see a lot more like handheld cameras. It just gives it more of like an AMC show vibe, you know, where it's a little more serious, it's a little more gritty. I just think it looks better. Some very powerful setup here, some feuds that are gonna arise from this episode. Overall, a solid beginning, great beginning, one of the better beginnings to any of the seasons. Episode 2. Kind of sucked. Not gonna try to sugarcoat it with my love of the show, and I still love the show. There's a big plot with these kids that are being manipulated into digging a tunnel for this gang, and a lot of kid actors. There are a lot of good kid actors. Look at Stranger Things and It, but these kids, I wasn't believing it. I really found that whole storyline to be very, very boring. It took up most of the episode too. There's just a lot of stuff in this episode that just doesn't really fit into each other very well. Like there's a spot where Jim and Harvey end up in a building. I'm not going to say a whole lot about it, but it introduces another character with another kind of mediocre kid actor. And this villain that they run into is like, it's so misplaced, it just doesn't fit in the episode. They're just trying to squeeze it in there just to get it in there. Stupid little nitpicks I have. like in the Sirens Club. The lighting, though it was kind of a cool idea, it was too much. There's lights flashing in your face. You can't even see people's faces half the time. I don't know what they were thinking with that. Ivy was in this episode. I got a lot of problems with that character. I'll cover more in the series review, but yeah, it was alright. It had a lot to do with Selina and trying to help her with her situation, which probably the Selina stuff was the best part of the episode, and that's not saying much because there wasn't a whole lot of that. Even then, it still delved a little too far into the supernatural for my taste, being that Catwoman is not supposed to be involved in like powers and magic and all that. Overall, this second episode was just very dry and lackluster, and I said we were off to a promising start. But it gets better, because episode 3... This episode was fantastic beginning to end. You start off seeing Jim trying to run the haven that he's created for these people that flocked to him like birds. Like fucking birds. Everyone hates Penguin, so they're leaving him, they're going to Jim, they're flocking to him like fucking birds. And Penguin doesn't like that, so he's gonna go start some crap over at the GCPD and Haven, and I'll leave it at that. A lot of unexpected things in this episode, which Gotham has a problem sometimes of being too predictable in terms of many things. It's something I always hate about these shows is when they like, there's something big about to happen, you know, and like somebody's about to die, and then somebody comes up from behind them and saves the day by hitting somebody over the head. That happens a lot in this show. There's actually a lot of unexpected twists in this episode, which I very much appreciated. Selina is more Catwoman than ever. She and Bruce fight together in this badass scene. Batman, Catwoman, you know, the early versions, but the fight is brutal. Catwoman, oh, I can't say everything, but it's brutal. Now on to the best part of this episode, and one of the best parts of the entire series, in my opinion, is the confrontation between Catwoman and Harley Quinn. The character of Echo from the previous season is our Harley Quinn in this series. She is fantastic. Francesca Root Dodson does an amazing job as Harley Quinn. Probably the best Harley Quinn I've seen on screen so far, and that's just 5 minutes of her in this episode, and it blew my mind. She is chilling. She is the best parts of Jerome, and I'm talking about early Jerome, like season 1 and 2 Jerome. Absolutely insane. Her story, her backstory for how she became so insane, I thought was brilliant. Kind of scary. The costume, whoever works on the costumes ought to be awarded for this. I dig this Harley Quinn interpretation so much. The makeup, the hair, her costume isn't overly sexualized, and I really appreciate that. It's got the right amount of flair. It's scary. It's twisted. The battle between Selina and Harley gave me chills. It's so good. It's so real. Just the way Selina hisses when she's talking she's talking to Harley like a cat. It's so good. Definitely check this episode out. If not for anything else, just for Francesca's portrayal of Harley Quinn. I can only hope that the rest of the season goes as well as this episode did. It just brought back the thrill of how I felt when this show first came out. The way the episode ended,